Hello, my name is Major Ivan Rock. I'm the Divisional Commander for the Empire State Division of the Salvation Army, New York State. As is the case for almost everyone these days, the Salvation Army is adapting to meet the challenges of these difficult days. We are expanding our services to meet unprecedented levels of need as the deeply complex crisis of poverty collides with the devastating impact of this global pandemic. While we understand that the current outbreak impacts everyone, people living in poverty are feeling the economic effects quicker and more significantly. With 46 centers of operations across 48 counties throughout New York State, the Salvation Army is uniquely positioned to meet the needs of each of the community's most vulnerable populations. You know, for a high-touch human service organization like the Salvation Army, serving people in the midst of this pandemic has required adjustments to how we operate. Under normal conditions, many of the people we serve feel invisible. They feel isolated by their struggles, by their situations. They feel alone. That is, until they come to the Salvation Army and we look them in the eye and we put our arm around them. That's when they feel like they matter. That's what we strive to do, to make everyone feel loved, to feel connected. But what do you do when touch or even proximity to those we serve is removed, as it should be in these days? Well, we do everything we can to safely meet their needs, their physical needs, to touch their hearts and to uplift their spirits. We've expanded our food assistance by introducing home delivery and drive-through options so that we can continue to safely ensure food security to all in need. We are making sure our shelters are safe and disinfected for those experiencing homelessness. We are operating childcare programs for the children of doctors and nurses and hospital employees. We are offering support and spiritual care to those impacted emotionally by this crisis. We are doing everything we can to help people feel safe, to help people feel loved and connected. For Debbie in Western New York, this means that she is receiving food support for 3 generations of households that have never had to call on a food pantry before. You see, since the start of this crisis, Debbie has been buying groceries and preparing food for her own family, for her mother, and for her grandmother across 3 different homes. She quickly realized it wasn't sustainable, and she was teetering on a financial crisis. Still, the thought of her mother or her grandmother catching this virus was unbearable, as it would be for all of us. So she called the Salvation Army, and we delivered food boxes to each of the households that afternoon so that they would not only have food, but they'd be safe. For Alina in the capital region, who was laid off from her job, it means a food box that allowed her to stretch her last paycheck until unemployment kicked in. For Stacy in northern New York, who was struggling emotionally while waiting in her car to receive food at the Salvation Army's drive-through soup kitchen, it means a Salvation Army staff member stopping for just a moment and addressing Stacy's emotional well-being. You see, Stacy lives alone, and she hadn't had any real human interaction for more than 2 weeks. She normally comes to the Salvation Army soup kitchen as much for social interaction as she does for nutrition. She begged the Salvation Army worker just to give her a hug, and while we couldn't do that, we did spend a few minutes with her, assuring her of our care and our concern. And that seemed to have made all the difference, just those few words. For Destiny in central New York, a resident of one of our shelters trying to get back on her feet, it means finding a way for her to work from home. And of course, for Destiny, working from home means working from a Salvation Army shelter. She needed to find a way to work full-time as an essential employee and have childcare. So the staff at the Salvation Army shelter set up an office for her in the shelter lounge with all the necessary equipment so she could work during the day and be a great mommy at night. That's what the work of the Salvation Army looks like right now. A week from now or a month from now, it may look completely different. But be assured of this, the Salvation Army will be here, meeting people's needs. Friends, we are bracing for a significant increase in requests for emergency assistance for people who've been laid off due to the virus. And if we're going to be successful, we need your help. Ongoing public support is absolutely essential to ensure that our services are available and that no one is going to be turned away. I'm asking that if you have the means to give, that you do so. If your corporation can make a gift, maybe even a substantial gift to offset significant food costs, please consider doing that. For those of you who will receive stimulus checks from the federal government, our hope is that those checks will help you meet the needs of your family. But if you're in a position to share what remains or even pay it all forward to help those who are less fortunate, we hope that you'll do just that. Monetary donations are the most effective way to assist those in need, and all donations will stay in local communities. With your help, the Salvation Army is stepping up to the challenge and continuing to meet the needs of those most vulnerable in our populations. So thank you, friends, for your ongoing support. And just know this, that together we will get through all of this. God bless you.